What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're going to cover the Santa Claus 2, the sequel to the first Santa Claus movie. Tim Allen once again returns as Scott Calvin Santa Claus. Overall thoughts on the Santa Claus 2 is I actually surprisingly enjoyed this movie very much. Is it as good as the first movie? No, it's not. The first movie I still think is the better movie. But I like what this movie did, and I like some elements in this movie. Now, the overall story of this movie is pretty simple. Scott has been Santa Claus for 8 years. Everything's going fine, but he finds out that if he doesn't get married by Christmas Eve, by the end of Christmas Eve, then he's going to lose his position as Santa Claus forever. So this whole movie is pretty much Scott trying to find himself a wife. Now, interwoven with that, there's this plot of Charlie who is on the naughty list. And we find out that Charlie is on the naughty list because he has to keep the secret of his dad being Santa Claus away from everyone else, and that hurts him inside. So, and of course with that plot, he causes a lot of disturbances in the school, which attracts the attention of his principal, who Scott has an attraction to, and it's the principal that Scott ends up with. So Charlie's being on the naughty list is actually the catalyst that introduces Scott to Principal Newman. So, yeah, it's a little flimsy, but just roll with it. And the chemistry between Tim Allen and Elizabeth Mitchell is actually pretty good. They seem very comfortable with one another on screen, and I buy the romance. Now, of course, while Scott's in the real world trying to find a wife, this other elf makes a duplicate Santa Claus. So as fake Santa, who ends up becoming evil Santa and tries to take over the North Pole, and it's actually pretty funny. And they did it pretty, and it was really well done. I like seeing Tim Allen act as evil Santa. It's kind of hilarious. He creates this army of plastic soldiers, and they take over the North Pole. He starts to check the naughty list, and every kid who did like a minor little thing, he's like, they're being naughty, they get cold. So I thought all that was pretty funny. I like how Bernard actually has more of a role in this movie. I thought he was pretty good as well. I like the production value of this movie a lot. The sets look great. We actually spend a lot of time in the North Pole, and we actually get to see the world a little bit, and I enjoy it. We get to see the other guardians, the Mother Nature, Father Time, the Sandman, the Tooth Fairy, Cupid, Easter Bunny, among others, and I like seeing the more of the world, which is what interests me in the first movie, and we get more of that in the second movie, which I like a lot. Of all the guardians, my favorite is actually the Tooth Fairy, who actually has a couple of more scenes peppered throughout the movie, especially near the end when he helps Scott get back to the North Pole after evil Santa's running amok. The Tooth Fairy is played by Art LaFour, and he is hysterical. I love how he hates the name Tooth Fairy, and he tries to come up with these other names like the Molinator, Captain something or other. It's funny stuff. It's really good. We get more stuff with Judge Reinhold as Neil, and I actually like how Neil and Scott, they're actually buddy, and whenever Neil sees Scott, he's just overly anxious in a lot of ways. Like, he always has a beaming smile on his face, which I thought was pretty funny. The plot of this movie is actually predictable. Like, we all know Scott and the principal are going to end up together, but you just got to go with it. They do have a couple of charming scenes here and there. Their best scene is actually the sleigh ride scene, where they're strolling down a horse sleigh ride, and Principal Newman, Carol, is telling her story to Scott, and I like that scene. The scene at the faculty party where they do Secret Santa is also a good scene as well. The stuff with Charlie, is also done pretty good as well. It's okay. The stuff with Evil Santa is hilarious. So yeah, like I said, the production design also looks fantastic. I like the set design, the costume design. I like the look of Evil Santa, how they made Tim Allen look like very, very plastic. It's a good makeup job, like I said, and the production design is great as well. The sets look fantastic. It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. You know, North Pole is a fantasy world, so it's not supposed to look real. It's supposed to look fake. It's supposed to have that child's imagination to it, which is what I think the movie captures fairly well. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on the Santa Claus 2. Overall, I highly enjoyed the Santa Claus 2. I think it's not that bad. I actually enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it the same rating I gave the first movie. This is a solid 8 out of 10. I prefer the first one over this one, but the sequel is actually not that bad. It's a good story. You got the acting is fine. Tim Allen is funny as he was in the first movie. You got some heartwarming beats here and there, and it maintains that same tone from the first movie, and it expands upon the North Pole world, which is what my interest was in. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for the Santa Claus 2. I highly enjoyed it. So if you've seen the Santa Claus 2, let me know in the comment section below. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.